fishing and a lot of winter sports are a very big deal.
Yeah.
And that's basically been wiped out.
Yeah.
If you walk on a lake or a pond now, I mean, you're asking for trouble, you know?
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen, let's jump in it. We got a lot to talk about today. I want to cast some vision. I know this will be good for you, Jeremy, where you're at. We've been going back and forth on that. I wanted to rework some things on this, especially as I think LinkedIn's evolved a little bit in the last 6 months, and so my training stuff has evolved as well. Chris, you had a topic you wanted to bring up at the beginning before we jumped into this. Are you there? Can't see your happy face. There he is.
I'm eating, so yes, I'm here. I'm stuffing my face a little bit with a snack. Yeah, it's something I just bounced to you last night. I'm just noticing that the engagement is way down, right? The views, and at least I feel like the content that I'm putting out has been pretty good, or at least better than I was putting out in the past. And I've just seen really the results have changed over time. So I'm wondering, I guess what I threw out to you was, can we just kind of go back and just take a look back at, one-on-one, right? Kind of creating the hook and the call to action, stuff like that. As LinkedIn changes, we have to change with it, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I've been in my groups asking questions as well, because my engagement, I think Butch, I told you the other day, like my engagement over the last week and a half just plummeted. And I'm looking at it. I did the same thing you did, Chris. I'm like, okay, where did I screw up? And okay, I didn't do as many selfie pictures this week. Like I was looking at all those things, but even then, the selfie ones that I did do were still not getting what used to be my average. So number one, LinkedIn does this periodically. I like the way you said it, Chris. I like to say it that way too. LinkedIn's drunk. Something's going on, little hungover. They're making a shift. And sometimes they do tweaks to the algorithm and nobody knows. It just happens. So overall, what I'm hearing from some of my other like LinkedIn influencer people is it's kind of happening to lots of people right now. Just don't stress, don't worry, stay the course. You'll see it start turning again. It's the other thing somebody pointed out to me. It's like when we have a really good post, we have a post and it's really good. We go, oh my gosh, this is great. And we think it's our content. Sometimes the algorithm just tweaked in our favor, but we want to attribute it to how brilliant we are and how awesome our selfie was or how brilliant our content was. So just stay the course. It's happening to everybody right now. And let's not stress. Is that good, Chris?
He's taking another bite of a sandwich or whatever.
I know. Give us a grunt. All right,
Hey, Brandon, just a question, because you've been on LinkedIn I've been on LinkedIn for a long time. I've only used it for about 2 years. But is it your experience that LinkedIn just changes the algorithms around and just kind of screws with it to mess with people?
Yeah, I don't think they're doing it to mess with people. They're constantly learning. They're also tweaking the algorithms around pods. The pods are 30 people that all go and comment on each other's post in order to hack the algorithm. They're doing stuff around that. They're constantly making changes, and it's never to screw with us, but it's generally like their announcement last year. They usually about twice a year, they'll come out with kind of an announcement around things around the algorithm. And one of them last year was they're trying to prevent posts from going viral. That's not the point about going viral. It's about providing very strategic, valuable content for a specific audience. It's not about going viral. And so I know that's one of their focuses. That's going to influence when they do some tweaks. It's going to influence our engagement. It's going to influence our impression count. So,
Hey,
yeah,
Brandon, Another quick question or maybe observation. I don't know if you guys, if this is new. I'm now seeing that if I like see your post in LinkedIn or any of you, then underneath it, there's all your other similar posts that you've had in the last week or so that are like in a little carousel underneath it. Have you guys seen that?
I started seeing that pop up and yesterday, and I kind of ignored it because it was different. But now that you said what it was, that I know that's what it was. I didn't pay attention.
So that's a major change.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll pay attention to that. That's interesting. And I wonder, yeah, let me dive into that a little bit more because there's got to be a little bit more logic behind. They're not going to do that with everybody. Yeah. Wonder if that's the way they're going to try to bribe people into going deeper into like the top voice stuff. Because that top voice thing for me is bullshit. I mean, it's fabricated, it's gamified. Like all you have to do is go answer a certain amount of questions and you get top voice. Nobody's looking at the questions or the answers to see if they're good, if they're relevant, they're anything. So I know it's exciting. You go, ooh, I got top voice on my LinkedIn and there's some value to it because people ooh and ah over shiny things, but I haven't pursued it because you're constantly pursuing it. You have to answer at least, once you get it, you still have to continue to answer like 5 or 6 questions a week to maintain it and all of that. All right, let's get into this. And we'll have some fun with it. All right, I wanted to just get back into some of the basics. And I figure we can't do this stuff without having a little bit of fun and humor. So I got a few things to set the foundation for us. I can never get tired of a good Michael Scott meme, right? Or really the Office memes. But what happened to that one? I'll get it fixed. And this is what we all know, right? Along the lines of that question, Chris, just sales is hard. I don't know if you guys saw our show yesterday, but Drew Ellis with SAP was our guest. He was awesome. So much better than the one the week before.
I don't know about that. I think the 1 week before was our all-star.
Oh my gosh, Tom. That was painful.
I've been hesitant to drop that onto the audio podcast. I've been like,
I know.
I don't want to do it.
Being better than the guy y'all had on 2 weeks ago would not be difficult.
Yeah, that's very fair. But Drew was talking about sales is hard. You know, he was bringing it back to like, remember, this is hard work. And LinkedIn and our efforts on LinkedIn isn't any different. You know, when we were making more cold calls and we weren't getting anywhere, what did we do? We would tweak the initial message we'd say, or the way that we would say our pitch. We would change the way we left voicemails. Like we constantly tried new things. We tweaked emails. We got to constantly be tweaking our messages, try new things, see what works, look at what other people are doing. I mean, that's a great thing about our group. Hey, I tried this and this is what worked, or I'm thinking about doing this. What would you guys recommend? Leverage each other for that and me, because we're all learning this together and trying to get there. So don't quit when the algorithm changes in our, Chris, I was with you, man. I was kind of depressed last week. I'm like, shit, I have been in a role. Like I was getting more and more. I was getting a bunch more inbound requests every week. And, you know, it's what's hard for me. Like I spend quite a bit of time messaging back and forth with Darren McKee. And I keep looking at what stuff that he's doing. And I'm like, what the frick, man? Like, how is he? Like, I don't get it sometimes.
He had like 25 comments in like 10 minutes. The other morning, he must have posted at like 7 a.m. And by 7:45, it was freaking blowing up. And I looked at the same thing. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah. Well,
I don't get
tell
that.
him, but he's in a pod. Some of that's fabricated, but
okay.
And it keeps building. But so we can't get, you know, what's that? We used to tell our kids all the time growing up, like you can't compare your true self, like who you are internally, with other people's projected selves. especially in the social media world. Like you're always going to lose who you're really like with their projected self. And I got to remember that even on LinkedIn. This isn't about popularity, but it's about closing deals and growth. Stay away. Let's stay away from that. I actually, I don't know. As I say, I don't want to be Darren McKee, but I look at the followers and the comments and yeah, man, that would be really awesome. So, but stay the course, do the work, don't give up, stay focused. That's why we got community for. So Chris, I appreciate that. You sent it to me yesterday. I appreciate it too, because I was feeling a little down, and now we can all collectively pick our heads up and go, let's just keep working, moving forward. Okay. Some of you guys have seen this, some of you hadn't, but I want to lay the foundation again about how are modern buyers buying, and why is this LinkedIn thing and the way that we present ourselves on LinkedIn so important? Buyers in the center of their world. And the reason I say that, it's kind of a duh statement. But when most of us, all of us probably started in sales, buyers relied on sellers for information. They didn't have Google. They didn't have access. Maybe they had a trade publication that would come in once a quarter or once a month, but it wasn't the same as a salesperson that got a minute. Like early in my career, I thought I was really good at cold calling and cold knocking, but slowly realized that they didn't care so much about me. They wanted the information I had. So buyers don't need sellers for information. They don't need us for their research. Buyers have control. They know they have control, so they don't have to open the door or answer the call just because a salesperson is knocking and calling. So they're in the center of their world. And because they have all these tools like LinkedIn and email, and they have phones and all this, they get to control who they listen to. They don't have to subscribe to things they don't want to subscribe to. They can unsubscribe to things that they don't want to. They can ignore people. They can get rid of people. And they use these different types of mediums in order to bring that information to them. So one of the reasons Tom and I have a show is that we know that that is a way that people consume content. It's entertaining. It's informational. That is one of the ways that they consume it. And so we've built relationships with people. A lot of you probably first engaged with us through the show or learned about us through the show. And so that's a way that we bring people into our circle of influence, or our circle of trust is what I call it. They have all these other messages, all these other people on the outside that are trying to get into them, but they can, in a sense, put a wall around their world. It's what I referenced before. We send people to voicemail. I mean, I even have a filter on my phone now that tells me it's a suspected spam call or it's a telemarketer. We don't need to answer our phones if we don't want to. And so we put this wall around us. And what it does is it makes it really, really difficult for those cold pitch messages to get in. So the idea is that we are sitting out here. Oh, yeah, I throw that in there. If people overstep and they get too pitchy or anything like that, buyers kick them out, right? They disconnect, they unfollow, they stop subscribing to a podcast. But really what we're looking at is we're out here on the outside, and we need to figure out how we get welcomed into their circle of trust. One of the key things with LinkedIn is that we can use it to build a lot of familiarity. That's one of the key things. Chris, you sent this to me a month or so ago, and you told the story on the when you were a guest on the show about the guy that you asked for a meeting or a connection request. I can't remember. And he said, "Oh yeah, I feel like I already know you." And you had the experience with the guy that went skiing in Utah on his lunch breaks or something like that, right?
Yep.
We know this inherently, intuitively, guys. We've been in sales. The more familiar people are with us, the more opportunities we have. The barrier to them saying no when we ask for a meeting or engaging with us drops the more familiar they are with us. That's why pre-internet, we go to the same networking events over and over and over again, right? We had to be known. And that's where we started the know, the like, and the trust. Consistency creates that familiarity, which makes us more trustworthy, more known. They can become familiar and not trust us if we show up like an idiot. I get that. But we've got this opportunity to be more familiar. Chris, I know you like this. I feel like I'm lifting Chris up all day today. I'll start picking on other people. But, when we look through the lens of LinkedIn as a conference, it's not like the phone where we pick up and do cold calls. It's not like email where we send out cold email messages trying to ask people, will you get on the phone with me? Generally, when we go to conferences, our mindset shift. We're not in sales mode. We're in networking mode to set up future sales. We don't generally go to a conference. Now, I'm not talking in the booth. Okay. I'm talking more in the conference side. You're in the aisles, you're in the hallways, you're going to breakout sessions, you're listening to keynote. We shake hands, we meet people, we look at their badges, we see their name, we see where they're from. And what do? We chat. We generally do some sort of chit-chatting to break the ice. And what we're doing in that chit-chat is we're starting to assess, and they're starting to assess, do I like this person? Do I want to keep talking to them? Do I think this person is trustworthy? Do we present ourselves in a way that they're more drawn to us or drawn away from us? If we, within a few minutes, look, oh, Butch, you work there. You know what? Here's my brochure. Can we get 15 minutes to talk? Because I can change your life with this demo. We do that in face-to-face, and people can't get away from us fast enough. It's the same human on the other side of the screen. Just because they're not right front and center, and we don't experience that immediate reaction of them going, what the heck? Get away from me. We're just going, look, I'm not interested. Leave me alone. Whatever that natural reaction would be, they don't see it on the other side. So they just spray and pray and pitch slap and send these messages out. So I want you to be thinking about this more like that cocktail party the night before a conference kicks off, a local networking event, and how you act in that environment too, and why you act that way. And I would believe it's to get to know people and let them start to get to know you, and to be setting up the opportunity to ask them for coffee or a drink, breakfast, whatever it may be, where the goal is to then go deeper into the conversation. That's where we start to go, so tell me more about what you do, and then you get to tell them a bit about what you do. I'm going to pause, let you guys ask questions, make any comments about that.
For me, this makes a ton of sense. Just the light bulb went off in my head, provided a lot of clarity. And so where I'm at right now is the fine line between, because I'm trying to develop, what to post on LinkedIn. I got a lot of 40 years of backstory. Where do we come in as far as sharing personal content and professional content, and how much is too much? How little is too little? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, let me jump into that when we get to the creating posts, which is
Okay.
2 more slides, I think. And I knew you were going to ask that question. I'm totally prepared for that. Any other comments about the lens of a conference and lens of networking and how that influences the way that we, as I'll say, show up? It influences our behavior. What do we do and how do we act, knowing that they're real human beings on the other side, and they're going to respond like a human being would if you're obnoxious or rude or too quick or anything like that?
I think you're spot on, Brandon.
Thank you.
And that's my experience. I'm a little surprised. I don't know if surprised is the right word, but there are still a lot of companies out there that believe strongly in the cold outreach and
Mhm.
you know, and think LinkedIn is just silly. And of course, obviously I don't, and I get it. So that's all just that you're
Yeah.
spot on. Because I always, it's easy for me to get when you describe, you know, how people don't need salespeople anymore. And I know when I buy things, I'm 80, 90% ready to buy. I've done my research, and you know, I invite 3 people to give a price or something, or 3 different, and that's it.
Mhm.
And that's the way it is. And the analogy of it's just a big conference room is it resonates with me.
Yeah. Thank you. And even if you have a more sophisticated product that you sell and it's going to take multiple conversations, people are still selling services. You guys are still selling services where they need the sales rep involved. Right? They can't do 100% of their research on their own. They're still wanting to. But the question is, do they want to reach out to us? Are they willing to accept our call? Have we laid that foundation? And I know that the jargon is a personal brand. I'm just going to say a reputation. Do you have a reputation of being somebody they want to talk to? And the reason why LinkedIn quote hasn't worked for so many people, and I just had I had a call with a prospective customer and partner right before we got on here. And I liked asking this question over and over again. What has been your biggest strength in selling in the 20, 25, 30 years of your career? And they always end up getting to relationships. Always. Because that's what salespeople do well, successful salespeople. And I said, great, tell me more about that. And they start saying, oh, well, you know, and he was saying, I'm really good in the face-to-face environment. And I don't know, I got this intuitive nature. Like I know how to lead a conversation with somebody and get them feeling comfortable with me. And I said, yeah, you've been in sales. You know how to speak to people to move yourself down the know, like, and trust scale. You should be good at that. That's what we do in sales. Right? Okay. I'm looking at your LinkedIn profile. I don't see any of that. All I see is business. I see your resume. I see how good you are. I see business content. Your relationship building efforts are not, sorry, somebody entered the room. Your relationship building efforts are about the human side of you. You know, that's the Butch doing the pictures when you go on your morning meditation walk and talking about what you're doing there and what you're learning. Adam, it's you're doing your flannel Friday and having pictures with your wife in it and talking more about your human side, about your marriage and how that influences, you know, the other areas of your business life. Like we don't have that opportunity going back to the conference, meet somebody, we look at their badge and go, oh, hey, Tom, you live in Santa Barbara. My gosh, I heard you guys had a whole lot of rain the past week. You don't have that opportunity because they're right in front of you. So we have to create it. So that's where Chris does the pictures with his dog and his morning walk and talks about what he's thinking about, what he's observing, what he's feeling about the industry, the way he's supporting clients, all those things. But that picture of him with his dog in the morning walk, we're all starting to get an idea of who Chris is. That's the substitution for the chit chat. Because we're not face to face, we've got to be the one to initiate it. Like we've got to throw it out there like a hook and go, here's me. Who wants to come and connect? Who's going to engage with this topic, with this emotion, with this me self-disclosing? And we've been conditioned, most of us I look at, we all got grays. In the 80s and 90s, when we were coming into business, it was a very different culture. It was fake it until you make it. Don't speak unless spoken to. If you are asked a question, you better freaking know what you're talking about because you got one shot or else you're going to get kicked out of the room type of things. I mean, maybe that's a bit of an exaggeration, but it's a much more rigid environment where we were scared to talk. We got to be in a position where we can do that. Okay, I'm going to move on. But any questions, jump in. Here's what I want to go through as 101, and I'm going to go through this really light. Jeremy, I'm going to deep dive a bit on the post, but I want to just this was casting vision for the 101, not a deep dive in each one of these areas. With our profile, I want you guys remembering your profile is a first impression, especially your header. Why? I hate it when the animations don't work. Oh, look, they're disappearing. They're just not coming in the right way. All right. I'll figure it out later. This is our first
You're supposed to
impression.
be the technical guy.
Yeah, well, when you're in a hurry, you make mistakes, unfortunately. This is our first impression. We're out commenting, we're creating posts, people start seeing us. We have a live show, people click through. I mean, I watch my impressions every Wednesday to Thursday go bloop because of the show. Right? They're getting here and it's a first impression, and I can control as much as I can control. But how do you want to come off? How do you want them to feel? And you guys know from last week, when we're talking about that feeling, I want to really get back to that, because I think so much of that feeling part, the neuroscience of sales, the psychology of sales, has been pushed to the side in so many conversations because of automation and data and ROI. But how do they feel when they get there? If your message is, if your profile is more like a resume, then they're going to look at you that way, and they're not going to get to the like and the trust and the know and the remember side. They're going to go, oh, this is who you are. And they have nowhere to put you in their memory brain because it was all logical. We resonate as human beings more on the emotional. So how do you want them to feel? Now, this doesn't mean you need to be all touchy-feely. I know I'm a very relational. I score very high relationally. I get it. And I'm not saying you got to go all open Komodo and everything, but you've got to be thinking about, if you want to connect with them, and I don't care what role you're in, I don't care what your personality is, if you want to connect with them and them to connect with you and them to be drawn to you, you've got to give some of your person. You've got to give some of your personality. It's just, in sales, that's what we have to do. That's what we've done our whole careers. We just haven't done it on a screen. So speak in terms of stories. That's the way the human brain works. When I went to college, I went to study this. And in my first job, I did this, and I realized I hated it and I wanted to do something different. And so I ended up down this path. Whatever it may be, you do it in a story framework. And then, of course, if you don't have creator mode on, go turn on creator mode. It opens up a bunch of tools for you, and we can deep dive about that. There's 5 key areas I want you to be thinking about right now. There's a lot of LinkedIn coaches out there that go, oh, we got to go do this big deep dive. Well, the reason they say that is because that's what they sell. That's where they make their money. I don't think you need to do that. You can, it's not going to hurt you, but going into like, do I have enough recommendations? And did I, put all of my past jobs and all that? Not saying don't, I'm just saying, don't stress if you don't do it. But the 5 key areas for me are your image, your header image, your picture, your headline. Let's see how that works. Your about section and your description of your current role. Those are the 5 key areas that I think that you've got to take a look at first and foremost. And then as you get going, you can go deeper into some of the other areas. I think having your pinned content at the top is really, really important. You could pin post, you could pin carousels, you could load videos, you can do all kinds of stuff. That's really great real estate for people to go in and go, what do they think is important about themselves? And that's there. But for now, wherever you're at, I think those 5 are the great starting point. Yeah, my animations are off. Okay, creating posts. The key here is being conversational and real. We use the word authentic a lot. I think it's just lost value because authentic means so many different things. It doesn't mean go full open Komodo and show everybody your warts and all that. That's not what it means. But the language, the word choice, the tone has to be like you're speaking to somebody. Sometimes I will stop writing and I will close my eyes and I will pretend that somebody, one of my ideal customers, somebody I'm working in a pipeline right now, or I want to put into my pipeline, I want to reach out to, I will imagine they're standing across from me and I'm having a conversation, and then I'll just start writing. And I'll share this tactic because I know Butch really likes it, is if you think about our right brain, left brain side, when you start writing a post, let your creative side go. Just write. Don't stop and fix a typo. Don't stop and fix grammar, because then you're bouncing back from right brain and left brain, and that's how we get tired. That's why so many of us go, oh, I don't know how to write. I'm not a good writer. Well, you'll be a much better writer if you just let the right brain do its thing, and then you come back afterwards with your left brain and clean it up. That's a really awesome, simple hack. A few things I want you to think about, and I'm just going to put all these up here. Jeremy, starting out, keep it simple. Don't try to be anyone else. You can look for things or ideas. Look at anyone in this group, look at any other people you look at. You see a post that you like, go try to recreate it, but from your perspective. Keep it simple. Don't try to do too much too soon. Think about the things that you're thinking about. Like, what do you think? What are you observing? And what are you feeling? 3 key areas we can start with. If you just sit for a minute and go, all right, what's going on with my buyers? What's happening with them? What am I observing is going on? You can start creating posts from that. Think about conversations you're having. Think about articles that you're reading, other people's social posts that you're reading. What is it bringing up inside of you? What's it making you think about? This is where imposter syndrome kicks in, and we got to kick its ass to the curb and ignore it. We look at something, and what we start thinking about, we'll go, yeah, it's not that important. Yeah, everybody knows that. There's got to be something better out there. And it stops us in our track, right? We start editing ourselves. The imposter syndrome kicks in, and we think we're not good enough, or the message isn't strong enough, or, oh gosh, Darren McKee, he would do this so much better, whatever it may be. Shut that voice down and just go with it. And if you struggle with that, go in the group, say, everybody, I need somebody to kick me in the ass. Imposter syndrome's getting the best of me. And we'll all help each other get rid of that stuff. Keep it simple. Now, using hooks, the concept of a hook is really simple. When people are looking at LinkedIn, and think about the way you go through LinkedIn, and you start looking at, for people that don't use fist bump, where they go straight to specific ones, they go in the news feed and they're just scrolling down the news feed going, get my attention, get my attention. Is it interesting? Is it not interesting? They just keep scrolling and scrolling until something catches their attention. The hook is designed to get that emotional hook. How do we capture their attention? The first 2 lines is what we see, and then somebody's got to click see more to get the rest of it. So what can you do in those first 2 lines to capture attention? If anybody's been in any sort of public speaking, Toastmasters, or anything like that, we're taught you've got to have an attention getter at the beginning. Got to have a hook. That's why we tell stories. We ask questions. We have some sort of a dramatic pause or dramatic effect to capture their attention. Butch could teach us about this. He's been a great public speaker. So that's what a hook is designed to do, Jeremy. I like, and not every time, but yes.
Hey, Brandon, to that point, before I hit the road, talking or speaking, I hired a coach just to get me ready. And the first thing she said is, if you start right and finish right, you can screw up in the middle.
There you go.
So to your point, you know, the hook and then the way you close, or that, if you get that right, what's in the middle, you can get away with not
Yeah.
being your very, very best.
That's good. I like it. And then at the bottom is the CTA, the call to action. My personal opinion is don't do it every single post because it'll just get old and people will be like, oh yeah, you're just trying to get, but especially when it's really appropriate, think about what question would you ask somebody if you were having this conversation? I mean, thinking about posts all the time in terms of conversation, not a broadcast, makes us look at it a little bit differently. So what question would you ask? What would you want them to do? You guys have seen mine. I use the two down pointy fingers, CTA, two more down pointy fingers, and I tell them what to do. People don't think a lot of times like, oh, I should go comment on this. But when you say comment below and tell them what it is, more people are more likely to comment. Because remember, they're all dealing with their own imposter syndrome. Oh, you know, I want to say this, but what if it's not right? So when you give them that invitation, more people are more willing to do it, and it affects our engagement. And our engagement gets our impression count up. And when our impression count is up, more people look at our profile, and that's a real opportunity for us to meet people. So a few other things, tag people. Tag people. Is that a hand raise, Chris, or is?
Yeah, I just
Yeah.
wanted to ask about the CTA. So are you a proponent of, and I think I know the answer because I think I've seen you do it, literally putting CTA or comment below because, so just lay it out specific
Yep.
versus just asking a question at the end and saying, what would you do?
Yeah.
What do you think about it?
Yeah, I've evolved to just being very blatant and blunt. Just like,
Okay.
let's get straight to it. Comment below with da da da.
Okay.
You know, a lot of times we write things and we go, oh, people will probably ask this question, that, like, people don't care about you enough to do that. Right? People don't care about me enough to do that. We're not that important in their world, unfortunately. So just tell them straight up, hey, CTA with this, and then mix it up. Like, I like to throw humor in there. And sometimes, and the more the CTA is getting something personal about them, yeah, I actually find that more people will do it. Share a personal experience, give a personal story. What have you experienced with this? Those types of things. Make it easy for them to engage with you. Remember, yeah, we're giving quality information, but our goal here is connecting with people so that we could have a conversation or we can get a referral and we can be remembered. That's our goal. So make it really easy for them. I moved over the last 6-9 months, but you'll probably call me on this, but I used to be 5 topics. I'm 3 in a personal. Focus your topics. You guys are going to find with me right now, and Jeanette's really helping me, and Nora's helping me to get focused on. I'm going to build my messaging all around LinkedIn as a 24/7, 365 super conference. And then within that, I've got 2 subcategories about what that means, about building relationships and how we connect and create conversations. And then I got my personal side. I'm going to start doing more of my Jeep thoughts. I'm going to do more things around my Jeep because it's something that's memorable, and the topic of it is around community. And that's what I like to build around with LinkedIn, is building community and relationships. So it all kind of comes together. So my challenge for you guys, or the request, is what are those 3 topics, and how are some of the things on your personal side that can relate into it? And Jeremy, you and I spoke about this the other day one-on-one. I hope you don't mind me bringing this up in front of the group, but
Please do.
your MD diagnosis, and he has muscular dystrophy, right, Jeremy?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
For some reason, MS popped in my mind, but I knew that was
You know,
wrong.
it happens all the time. MS and MD get misconstrued all the time.
But that's a big part of his person. And he was telling me the story about how he got started with his first company and creating signs and why he really loved getting into the creative side, as he was struggling with this diagnosis when he was young, and thinking about all the stuff he was going to be in front of him in his life. He got to go through finding this creative side and creating graphics and design, and a story about asking his dad to go. He had an opportunity to build decals or signage for cat equipment, but he couldn't go put it on himself. So he enlisted his dad, and his dad actually went and installed it for him. I mean, frick, Jeremy, that is an awesome story, right? Like
That's where I'm at. Where I have a ton of stories based around, built all around that, from a young boy to an adult now. Where I'm at now, I would not be at without all those stories. You know, one thing leads to one thing, and then one thing leads to another. You know, my first job end up leading to, you know, another, you know, a future client. You know, there's tons of that, but it's like, do people want to hear that all the time? I mean, or because I mean, for me, my personal it's very business, you know, and being, you know, a certified disability owned company, my clientele are large Fortune 500 companies who want to support a company like mine, you know. So I'm not going after the small business, you know, that wants a few things. I'm going after the big business, the big buyers, you know, the supply diversity manager, the procurement manager, the marketing manager, and that's where I would come in, you know, with them, you know.
Yeah.
So when I meet with them, I'm leading with that. I mean, that's what they want to know about. That's why they're having a meeting with me, is because, you know, to get a relationship started, and the icing on top of the cake would be to fulfill their supplier diversity goals. You know, that's just the icing on top of the cake. They got to like me and whatever first and foremost. So
Yep.
that's where I'm at.
So Jeremy, here's what I heard.
Yeah.
Companies are bringing you in because they're trying to fulfill their vendor diversity.
Mm-hmm.
Yet when I look at LinkedIn, I don't know that you have a certified, I forget how you say it, a certified handicap business owner.
Certified disability owned.
Disability owner.
Yeah.
I don't see it. It's probably in your about section.
Yeah, it's in the about section.
Right. But I would have to go dig for that to find it.
Yeah. Yeah. See, that's where, you know, all these different, you know, the coaches or whatever, you know, you talk to everyone's got a different story, what to do, what not to do. And, you know, don't put that out front, do this. And it's like, you know what? It's like, between, you know, our Selling from the Heart group and this group, I'm finding the most value, you know? So, so I think I'm gonna stick with what you're recommending, and, you know, and, you know, kind of, you know, get this going a little bit better.
Cool. Do any of you other guys have anything to share with Jeremy on that topic and how he could use it?
Yeah,
It's just been, go ahead, Chris.
Sorry, Dave. Yeah, I was going to jump in, and Jeremy, when I had my one-on-one with you like a couple of weeks ago, like your story is literally, you know, wiping tears from my eyes because it's so moving. The fact that you're sitting there going, no one gives a shit about my story, no one cares. I've said that myself. Like I'm putting the post out there. I think you gotta trust the process, man.
Right.
You have something to say. You are a special person with a lot of gifts, and just telling their story of like helping people who don't have a disability to see what you've gone through to get where you are.
Right.
Like that's so moving. Like all of that stuff is great.
I mean, I do that in my personal life. I mean, even my circle of friends around me. I mean, that's just how I've gotten such a close group of friends, you know, who've been with me you know, through 25, 30 years of best friends. You know, they've been with me, you know, as my disabilities progressed. And, you know, I want to have my business circle, you know, just as close as my, you know, personal circle. You know, I'm so in tune with that, where, you know, I can pick out good people, and it's just, you know, they're attracted to me, I'm attracted to them, and it's all good. That's why I'm in this group and with the Selling from the Heart group. It's like-minded people. I mean, it's you know how I feel. So
There
Want
are
to add to that, Dave?
Yeah, I was just going to say, to your point of there's so many different opinions, if you will, from LinkedIn trainers
Right.
about the personal and business. And at the end of the day, I mean, I have to do what I feel, what I am comfortable with, and what's right here, what works for me right here. I mean, I've run across people that think you shouldn't put anything at all personal
Mhm.
on LinkedIn. I mean, big time haters, so this ain't Facebook, dude, that
Right.
kind of stuff.
Mhm.
But I'm with you, Jeremy, in that, what's more personal than doing business?
Right. Business is about
I mean,
relationships,
if I don't like you,
Yeah.
the chances of me spending any money with you are about zero.
Right.
And how am I going to like you if I don't know something about you personally?
Hmm.
So I guess I say all that to say, I mean, I kind of got confused there a little bit because I hear different messages as far as business, personal, business, personal. I'm clear on it. Personal has to be there.
Hmm.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, I'm going to move us along. Commenting, guys, I'm not going to deep dive this today. Look, Butch will say this all the time. If he had to choose between publishing content or commenting, he would do commenting. And I agree with him. Here's why. Sorry. The cat just kind of does her thing. I made her mad yesterday because I kicked her off my laugh like 4 or 5 times. And then she sat around and gave me dirty looks all night. She'd get close to me and turn her back on me and look at me. I'm like, gosh. But commenting is our opportunity to go put ourselves in front of people who we want to meet. We can't force them to see our post, but we can put ourselves in front of them. Okay, so we go in there and we comment. And here's a few ideas to get you started. Within Fist Bump, if you guys haven't taken the commenting style assessment, I recommend go do that. If you don't have it, I'll throw it into our group chat. Go take that assessment. It just helps give confidence to what your style is. And then when you use Fist Bump to get an AI-driven comment, you could choose the style of your choice. It's going to tap into your twin. By the way, over the next month, Daniel's deep diving on really refining the twin even more. So hopefully all of us will start seeing more comments that are really more aligned with our voice and style. It's getting, refined. Obviously we're learning as we go with this, but it'll continue to get refined.
Brand, can you put that commenting style in the notes? Because I don't think I have that.
Yeah, I'll throw it in the group.
Okay.
If
Okay.
you don't have it, or if
Okay.
anyone else has it, throw it in the group, but I can get to it later. Okay. I want to talk about this. We've got about 10 minutes left. I want to talk about this, and I want to talk a little bit about who's viewed your profile. Everything else we're going to deep dive. It's going to be, sending connection requests and asking for the meeting. I'm not going to have as much time for today, but this was designed to cast vision where we're going. So AIQ and Twinit, what you're going to start seeing is some more features coming in to help you create content. And you'll be able to do this in 2 ways. AIQ, if for some reason you haven't done it yet, we got to get AIQ trained. We go in and we do an AI scrub of your company's website. It gives us all kinds of information. I send those 4 documents to you. You guys fill them out. We feed that in there. It's learning your company, your industry, your brand, your tone, your style, and all of that. Then your twin is becoming, the twin will be your voice, who you are. Let me go back up into the AIQ because I forgot to press all these cool buttons. You can load into the AIQ documents as well. You have up to 20 documents that you can load in there. And it's all designed to feed the AI. That's why it's called AIQ. It's supposed to be your company brain about who you are, what you sell, customers, competitors, whatever you want in there. Here's one of the ways that I'm starting to use it is I'll take recordings from Zoom conversations I have with prospects. I take the transcripts and I load it in there. So it's learning how I talk with customers and what customers are saying and start putting that into the AIQ. You can do that on your twin as well. Twin It is all about you, your career, your history, your style, your personality. Same thing there. You can load documents or you can go in and answer questions. With your twin, if you have not trained your twin yet, there's two ways to do it. There's topics and you can answer questions, or you can say chat with the bot and it'll ask questions, but every time you answer, it's going to ask you a follow-up question. What I really want you guys to think about this isn't facts. It's facts plus why. If you want this to sound like you need to give it emotion. So if it says, why did you go to the college? And you say, it had the best business program. That's not who you are. It had a great business program, and I really wanted to go to a big school because I wanted to be a part of a, big football program and go there on Saturdays and do all that stuff. Like, give it more so that it really understands you. Because if you just give it the facts, then your comments are going to be dry. Your posts are not going to be as good. So the more you give it of you, the better. So we'll go in there and we'll train your twin. Again, you can load documents, you can answer questions, you can chat with the bot. When you hit the minimum threshold, go in and say, train it, it'll run it. Then once a month, it'll open back up and you can add more and train your brain. So you can go in any day you want and answer more questions, but then once a month you can resubmit it and it'll load all the new stuff in and update your twin. Okay. Now here's what you're going to be able to do with it. Daniel's done a great job of creating this. We've got social post templates, and your AIQ in your twin has all these different topics, and then you could give it directions. So you could go in and say, I need a social post with a hook and a CTA that tells a story, and it'll a template for you. And then you could choose a topic from your company, or you could write in a prompt and say what the topic is. And you could even then choose from a drop down to tap into a specific document in the AIQ. So this is what it looks like for me. I want to take transcripts from conversations I have with prospects, load it into AIQ. Then I want to go in and create 3 or 4 social posts that are based on that conversation with a customer. So I can go in and say, give me this template, use this document, and then I can go in the prompts and give it a little bit of information. Just speak to it. Like, I really want to create a post that's like this. I want it to be business oriented, but casual. And I really want to tap in from that my customers are struggling with creating new opportunities and filling pipeline. And it'll run and create a post for you. And then you'll have the ability to say, once it runs from the AIQ, then you'll press a button that says twin it, and it'll rewrite it in your voice, your style, your words, your tone. You can review it. You can edit it. You can add emojis. You have settings that do all that. And then you can say publish to LinkedIn or schedule to publish to LinkedIn. So my hope with this is it's going to help you create content more efficiently. That's my hope with it. Now, what we're doing on our concierge side, so you guys are getting access to the tech that we built to serve our concierge program. We're actually just doing this for customers. And on the social concierge side, and I'm telling you guys this for a purpose, I would love referrals for this, and I'll be glad to compensate you guys for these referrals. The social concierge side, we are creating 2 or 3 social posts per week for the company. And we are giving every person on their team a personalized, unique version of it so that they can publish it to their own account. What this means for me is we're trying to help companies just get started with publishing content on LinkedIn. The employee advocacy tools that are out there, marketing creates a post, everybody gets it, and they could either publish it or not. The downside is when everybody publishes it, the news feed's filled with the exact same post, with the exact same picture, with the exact same words, and it's lame. What we're doing is you got 50 people on a team, you got 10 people on a team. All 10 people are going to get a unique version of that post based on their twin, written in their words, their tone, their style. And real soon, they'll also have a unique version of the image. So that's my go-to-market strategy around Fist Bump and our land model, our get our foot in the door with that kind of inexpensive model. But we basically say we create 2 or 3 posts a week, your choice. Who you want on the team, they will get a unique version of it that's personalized for them from their position in the company and from their twin. I don't tell them twin, but from their own unique voice, style, and tone. And all they have to do is review it and press a button. It'll publish to LinkedIn. Last thing, and then I'm going to wrap up. Who viewed your profile? Just a reminder going, as you're doing more commenting, you're creating posts, you're getting more engagement, you got this activity going on, more people go and view your profile. People are nervous. They're not in program, they're not in coaches with coaches that are saying, okay, go do this and do. They're nervous. They sit there and they do these things, but they're scared to send a connection request. What do I do? What do I say? What if they say no? So I like going into who's viewed my profile, and it's like fertile soil to build your network and ask for calls. So I go through and look and see who they are. If it's somebody I want to speak with, they're part of my ICP, or there's somebody I want to get to know because it could be a referral. I send them a connection request. If I'm not yet connected, I said, hey, in this case, Andrew, I noticed you looked at my profile. Thank you for doing that. I was taking a look at yours. Seems like we should probably be connected, or I'd love to connect with you, or anything like that. Your words, your voice. What do you think? Send it off. If it's somebody I want to meet with, I want to get to know, once they accept it, they're either going to reply and say something, which is great. They started, they've extended the conversation. But sometimes they just accept it, but they don't say anything. I'll follow it up. And that's, you guys know, I talk about the get to know each other calls. Set it up. They were looking at my profile. For some reason, they were motivated to do it. I'm going to now take the opportunity and say, would you like to have a get to know you conversation? If they're like my perfect ICP, I may send it to them as a more direct. Hey, I see that you're a sales leader. We've got this program. We're helping companies with this. Maybe it's something you'd like to have a conversation with. No pressure, but I'd love to chat with you about it if you have a need, and just get right to the point. But the key there is pay attention to who's viewed your profile, because it's fertile soil for people that they were looking at you for some reason. The more comments you make, the more people look at your profile. The more you're posting, more people are looking at your profile. But they're scared. I'm going to read that again. They're scared. They don't know. They're not as bold as some people. They come in, they look, they go, oh, I don't know, and they leave. But then when you send a request, and Chris, like you, I had one, I don't know, last week sometime. I sent it, and he's like, yeah, I totally love to connect with you. I've been watching your show for several weeks. It's kind of that, I feel like I already know you. He was just nervous to send the connection request. He probably thought, because of my show, like, he's not going to accept it from me. That was how I got connected with Mike Meinberg. I didn't think Mike would accept my connection request, but I sent him one when I was reading his book, and he freaking responded. I was like, so who's viewed your profile is super important. All right, I'm going to wrap us up on the name of time. The 2 things I didn't get to is sending our connection request and asking for meetings. You guys got a little bit of a glimpse of it in there as well, but this was designed to cast vision for anyone that's new and reinforce with everybody. Like, these are the daily activities that we should be doing. Carve out time on your calendar. And if you can't do it every day, carve it out 3 days a week. but be diligent with that, because like anything else in sales, if we're not doing the work, we're not doing the basic work, we're not doing the foundational work, we're not getting the fruit of that labor if we're not doing the labor.
Cool. Awesome. Brandon, can you send me the message, the template for the messages for reaching out?
Yes, you got it.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I'll send you the link. It should be in the community.
Okay.
Thanks, Brandon. That's great stuff today.
All right.
Good. You're welcome.
All right, guys. I got to go. Well, thank you very much,
Thanks,
and have yourself
See ya.
a good the rest of the week and weekend.
You
See ya.
too.
Bye-bye.
Good to see you
Okay,
guys.
bye.
Bye.